Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to you all. And thank you for joining this series of 12 webinars to gear you with actionable insights and energy to lead at your best in this crisis. Particular thanks to our participants in New Zealand, where it's 9 p.m., and our superheroes out there in Toronto, Miami, and Santiago in Chile, where it's 5 a.m. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you with us today. We started our leadership journey together 4 weeks ago by figuring out how you can boost your stamina and your sharpness in crisis time. And then 2 weeks ago, we delved into how you can sustain great leadership in crisis time. And I told you, in this crisis, no leader alone is smart enough to figure out by herself or himself the best way ahead. And the leader's job description have changed. Now they include coaching skill so that leaders can get the best thinking of their people individually and as teams. And so today we're going to focus on coaching skills so that you can get the best thinking from your people one by one. And on 27th of August, next webinar, we'll look at how you can trigger collective intelligence from your teams, in fact. So I was thinking, you don't often have the opportunities to see coaching in action, to see a coach coaching someone, right? And so I've decided that today I'm going to show you how the job is done. In fact, and I want first to take you to the movies, and together we're going to watch a moment of that movie called Ray, about the famous jazzman Ray Charles. And you have to know that he became blind when he was about 7 years of age. And the movie moment I'm going to show you is that when his mother, having understood that he's going to be irreversibly blind, chooses how to behave with the little Ray, in fact. And to me, that's perhaps the best coaching moment ever. So please watch her behaviors, and we'll discuss them just after this.
I hear you too, Mama. You're right there.
Yes, I
Why are you crying, Mama?
Because I'm happy.
To me, you see, Ray's mother epitomizes a great coach. She does not tell her son what to do, which would lead to dependency. Instead, she helps himself, and assess the environment, develop his thinking about it, and that raises his confidence, his initiative taking, and his autonomy. That's the goal of coaching. Coaching grows initiative and autonomy. It's very useful when your team members have that knowledge and that experience required to find solutions by themselves. Now, giving advice and solutions create dependence. However, that's what we have to do when we don't have time for coaching, right? When we are in urgency, and when also our team members do not have enough knowledge or experience to find solutions by themselves. What coaching does is it helps people think through their issues and find their own solutions, set their goals, take actions, learn by doing, and improve. And we coach people, as you know, by listening to them, asking questions so they develop their thinking, and following up until success. What coaching is not is transfer of knowledge or experience. That is mentoring, which is also very helpful. It's just a different game, and it's not to be used when you have time to coach and your coaches have the knowledge and experience to find solutions by themselves, because then they can grow autonomy, right? One takeaway from the little moment in the movie we've seen is obviously that silence is your friend in coaching. Let it do the heavy work. Now, let's go to coaching in crisis. And that's where I want to show you again how it's done by showing you the beginning of a session with a manager called Alex, who kindly gave permission for us to share the video. It's the start of the session where we work together to look for what could be a valuable objective for the session. And Alex is in crisis mode, overwhelmed by a lot of stress and a lot of work. And I would like that you pay attention to what I do to help him come to a valuable objective for the session that will follow. Okay? Hey, good morning, Alex. How are you?
Hi, yeah, I'm fine. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm fine. No, that's bullshit. Sorry for my French, right?
You can tell.
Yeah, oh my, that's a difficult situation, right? Yeah, tell me a bit more, right, about how you're feeling in this unprecedented situation, Alex.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's challenging times, but I mean, what can you do about it? Just got to get on with it, I suppose. But yeah, it's definitely not been our best month. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Hey, and it's interesting, Alex. I noticed you speaking faster and kind of nonstop, not like usual, right? And I'm thinking, is it okay that you straighten your back, you take a few deep breaths, perhaps, and you clear your mind, so you can be really present to our session.
Okay, all right. Better?
Yeah.
I'll try and focus, sure.
Thanks. So may I ask a question again, Alex, then how are you really feeling in this mess?
Yeah, well, I mean, it is a bit of a mess. I mean, I really need more time. I mean, my team they just aren't able to get the work done without me looking over their shoulder like usual. In the office, that's the way we work, and they're just not able to get the work done that they're supposed to be doing. And this is, it's really, it's totally a mess at the moment. I mean, they're really not able to do it. They're not competent, or they're not motivated. But yeah, it's a real mess.
Yeah, and there we go again, Alex. Forgive me for being stubborn, right? But you plunged towards me, and you downloaded lots of things, and you did not breathe between sentences. So can you stick with me, right? Just.
All right. Okay. Let me do that again. Let me turn my phone off. All right.
Oh yeah, and breathe a little, you know, and tell me what you need the most from me and our session today.
Actually, maybe some advice, or maybe even some tips on how I can need to motivate the team, to do what I'm telling them to do. I mean, maybe that could be a good start. I mean, what do you think I should do in this circumstance?
So tell me a bit more, Alex, about what you'd like to explore around what you've brought to the discussion so far.
Sure. I mean, more than anything, just some ways that I can get the team members to do what's required from them, to put it simply.
Yeah.
Big help.
And big help. And how is this important? And how is this important, I mean, to you now?
Well, at the moment, I mean, we've still got our targets to hit, and we're still working. My bosses are working, and they're expecting me and the team to bring in some of our minimum numbers. They have been adjusted, and I think they're quite fair. There's nothing unreasonable, and so we're not even doing that, or the team aren't even doing that. So I'm ending up having to do maybe 5 times my usual workload, chasing the clients and making the calls all day. And it means I'm not finishing till quite late, like 10 p.m. at night. And obviously I'm working from home as well. So, it's impacting on the family and things. So it's, it's really quite fundamental to, work and personal life at the moment, it seems.
Yeah. And I can see the stress coming out, right? Of course, Alex, it has to be coming out. And I'm thinking, if you take another deep breath and look deep within yourself, what needs to happen there, deep inside, for you and the situation to evolve to a better place?
I suppose it's probably stemming from my unwillingness or inability to trust them, and to maybe more just to let go, as well as trust. Maybe they both go together. To really, that could come down more to me rather than them.
Yeah, tell me more.
So I suppose I don't feel like I have enough faith in them, and I work quite a lot, quite a controlling way, and I probably have a little bit of almost fear to not have this control and to trust. In fact, it's something that is, when I think about it, it creates this fear more than anything, is not having that control over the situation, especially at work.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Alex. And thanks for all you've shared so far. So having said all of that, Alex, what could be a very valuable objective for our work today together?
So I suppose I want to let go. No, in fact, I do. I want to let go of this lack of trust, this lack of faith I have in others, and in my team especially, and probably overcome this fear to let go of this control. Yeah, I mean, that would be probably, if I could do that, I think it might start leading to some changes actually.
Yeah. Could you rephrase that perhaps, Alex, in a one short sentence objective for our session today?
Okay. So I suppose it would be, I want to let go of my lack of trust and my faith and overcome my fears.
And if you do that, Alex, then what could be really great and sustainable outcome for you and for the ecosystem around?
Yeah, I suppose I would have achieved what I wanted to if the team are working independently, still making progress without me having to call them every 10 minutes, which is happening now. I mean, that would be a big improvement for sure.
Yeah, great, thanks. So, Alex, where would you like to start our exploration then?
And so that was part one of the session where we agree on a valuable objective to work on, right? The rest of the session was the exploration of how Alex can be and what he can do to let go of his lack of trust and faith and overcome his fears, right? So that he generates great motivation and enhances the capability of his people, right? And you noticed how the path was from please give me advice on how can I make my people do what I want them to do, to something personal that's way more powerful, and that's about enhancing his trust in himself, so overcoming his fears, right? And adjusting his behaviors to become a great motivator and someone who empowers effectively. It's quite a rodeo. It's not easy. Part one of a session where we decide the objective for the session is usually the matter of 3, 4, 5 minutes. In this case, it was a bit more than 8, right? But this is crisis time. It's not easy. So the mission we have as managers, right, is to help our team members, our coaches, to get a cool and clear mind so they can think properly. Yeah. And you saw me invite Alex several times. Breathe and relax, right? Otherwise, he could not think properly, right? And then we've got to help them unleash their best thinking, establish clarity in the mess, decide their way forward, take action, and build resilience and confidence in the process. So tips for crisis time for you when you coach your team members, right? Take time to connect with them and center them, ground them, right? And then go for the objective of the session. You need to find something that's really valuable, in fact, and then make sure when they show fears or emotions, you attend to them, because if you don't, they're going to stay and pollute their thinking and therefore the effectiveness of the work you do with them in a coaching session. I write as well, challenge boldly. In a crisis time, we're not there to be nice coaches. In fact, we're there to be coaches who help. And we have to challenge our people to bring out their best, reach clarity, make decisions, take accountability, right? So don't be a nice coach, be a coach that does the job of helping people help themselves really. And make sure you finish your conversation on a high note, with a compelling first step and high energy. Now, as a result, you'll get clarity, forward movement, confidence, autonomy, and resilience on the part of the coaching. Yeah. One more tip I want to share with you is like the nitty-gritty of starting a coaching session, right? And I followed those tips in the start of the coaching session with Alex, right? I worked with him to identify the real issue behind the one that he came up with, which was just give me advice on how to empower more effectively. Yeah. And I asked him after the first question, which was, what would you like to explore today? I asked him, how important is that to you, to dig to a deeper level? And then I ask him at a deeper level, what could it really be about? And that's where the major topics of self-trust, self-faith, and fears came up. And there we had something valuable to work on for Alex's development as a manager, right? And then I made sure that the objectives he chose was valuable. Quick advice as well. When your team members tell you, I want to find a way to not work so late, it's a negatively negatively worded objective. Shift it to a positively worded objective. Ask them, and if we're going to word this positively, what would it be? Which require thinking, and then perhaps they will tell you, well, I want to be more effective. We can work with that, right? If they tell you, I want to stop being shy, then ask them, so word it in a positive manner. What would it be? I want and I need to become more assertive. And there we can work with that. Now, we've earned our stretching time with Jonathan. And just before that, I want to say, if you want to delve deeper into the nuts and bolts of the little introduction of the session I just played for you, click on that picture when you receive the slide deck tomorrow, and then you'll have me talking for 45 minutes about the nuts and bolts of doing a great start of a session and coaching in crisis time. Yeah. Now let's take our stretch, and then I'll be back with 6 skills for you to coach at your best in crisis time. Here we go, and we have the pleasure of having Jonathan with us again. Jonathan.
Hello everyone, welcome to the third video of how to limit the negative impact of office syndrome. Today I'm going to present you the third exercise. All right, for this third exercise, we will try to release the tensions located in your hips. Okay, so it's a very simple one. You just stand straight, and with your right hand, you're gonna try to push the sky as much as you can, and you're gonna push the ground with your right feet to really try to stretch all this area. Okay, so you push the ground as much as you can, and you push with your hand as high as you can, and you hold the position for 5 to 10 seconds. You hold it, and you breathe deep. And then you come back. And you go now on the other side. You push as high as you can with your left hand, and you push the ground as well with your left feet. And you hold the position as much as you can. 5 to 10 seconds. And then relax. And of course, you can go for a second round. I push. I really stretch my obliques. Okay. And then the other side, once again, I push. And I come back. I hope you enjoyed this exercise, and see you all in the next video for the fourth exercise.
And just as we trust Jonathan to help us stretch ourselves safely as a leader coaching your team members, you've got to have them trust you, that the space you create for the conversation is safe, right? And so I just want to briefly mention trust breakers. So you make sure you do not have those happen in conversation with the people you coach, right? The first one is when you would give judgments, make judgments or give advice, right? You would say suddenly, have you considered this other idea, right? Which is in essence telling them, follow my advice, yeah? Or you'd say, how about trying that idea? Your idea, yeah, which is really just the same, yeah. Or you'd say, in my experience, that won't work. Trust me, which is really saying you're not smart enough. I have a better idea than you. Or when you say, yes, but which is in essence telling, no, you fool, that's not gonna fly. Yep. So judgment and advice are terrible for trust, and not listening or not being really concentrated, present to the coachee is also a trust breaker, as is postponing or shortening a scheduled coaching conversation. Yeah. And another thing we don't want to do is using what the person said to you in a coaching conversation against that person after the conversation. That is a cardinal sin. Okay, so what to do then? 6 skills, and I'll go quickly, and you can connect them with some of what I did with Alex, right? So the first one is to build trust and then stretch safely. And what you really need to remember in practice is don't forget at the beginning to remind your team members that when you're going to coach them, this is going to be a completely confidential conversation. Yeah. And then remember what we said 2 weeks ago, show authenticity, humility, and vulnerability so that your coachee can just do the same, be the same, and then they bring everything that's on their mind, right? Finally, stretch them out of their comfort zone, because that is where growth happens. Skill number 2, listen and stay silent way longer. You have Ray's mother demonstrate that to perfection, right? And in practice, remember, silence is your friend. So just wait at least 3 seconds before you respond to your coachee, right? And also, when you can, ask your questions with your eyes instead of with your words, because your words can pollute the thinking of the coachee, the eyes much less. Yeah. Skill number 3, explore different levels of thinking, as Albert Einstein recommended, right? We cannot solve the problems with the same thinking that created them in the first place. And how we do that in practice? Well, we step back, we zoom out sometimes and say, hey, let's look at the issue from a higher level or from a different perspective, right? And what do we see there, right? Or if your coachee is being generic, then ask him or her to be more specific, right? Perhaps ask him or her to bring some concrete examples of the problem that they are bringing to the conversation, right? Or question their energy, their emotion, their body language, because each time you do that, that helps the coachee access to a deeper level of reasoning. Yeah, plenty good things we can do to explore different levels of thinking. Yeah. Skill number 4 is coach your coachee, not the problem. And by that, I mean that make sure you focus the conversation on what the coachee can do, how they can be, right? Just like I did with Alex, who initially wanted advice on how to get his people do what he wanted them to do, right? So the problem was all on the subordinates side, when of course in coaching we can do better than that and help the person evolve how they are and how they do things, so that the ripple effects of their new behaviors are very positive for the environment and for their colleagues. Yep. And then skill number 5, question like a child, right? You see in the picture, the coach is the little guy and the big guy is the coachee. The ideal posture to me of a coach is that of the student inviting your colleague, your team member, to teach you the solution to the problem, right? What if you could teach me one solution for this problem? Is a super powerful coaching question, and I invite you to try it out. Yeah. And then skill number 6 is strengthen your coach's confidence and autonomy. That's the name of the game, really, we play in coaching, right? And so in practice, how you can do that at the end of a conversation is by helping the coachee actualize their self-awareness, right? And for example, you can ask the coachee, what have you learned today? What have you learned about yourself? And you can also acknowledge the risk-taking and the progress of your coachee, and then they will feel emboldened to grow some more and take further risks. And when they meet with failure, of course, be non-judgmental and instead draw the lessons from the failure, right? And with these 6 skills, going to ask Teddy, who is managing the call from behind, what's coming up, Teddy?
Thank you, Jean-Francois. The first question we have is as follows. Coaching takes time. What would be your recommendation for busy leaders?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I would say very simply, book some time, like 30 minutes a month with your team members, one by one, to have a coaching conversation with them. Ask them to come prepared with an objective or a challenge, right? And advertise that this is going to be coaching. This is not going to be consulting, right? You're going to help them think at their best and find their solution to the problem, right? So do that. And over repetition, as you gain more fluency in coaching skills, right? Then you'll be able to do coaching on the fly when you see an opportunity in a meeting or another one-on-one conversation to have the colleague you're talking with think at their best and find the solution by themselves. So.
Thank you, Jean-Francois. The next question we have is, what do you do when the coachee is resistant to coaching?
Yeah, thanks for the question again. Yeah, I'd say first acknowledge the situation, right? And that means telling your colleague, I sense that you're not really comfortable with the conversation. I sense something is holding you back from playing the game 100%. And I'm questioning myself, how could I perhaps evolve the way I work with you so you feel more comfortable and you go 100% into the conversation. Yeah. So ask them how you can adjust yourself to help them play the game, right? So you make you the problem instead of having them be the problem. And I guess we lack time for another question. I hope those were most helpful to you all. Just want to recap very quickly what we've been through today, those 6 skills that are really helpful in crisis time. Yeah. And then go on to a bit more, right? So I've put those 6 skills versus the SCARF acronym that lists 5 stamina and sharpness boosters, because when you think about it, those 6 coaching skills are enhancing one's, your coach's self-esteem, sense of certainty, autonomy, relationship with you, and of course, you do that in a very fair and safe environment. So it's very motivating. And when you ask people, who's the best boss you ever had, and what did she or he do for you, you'll always hear, the best boss I ever had was the one that helped me grow the most. That's what coaching does in a very accelerated fashion. And that's why we have spent our 30 minutes together today to look at how you can perhaps do even more of it and even more effectively. With this, I'd love to say, again, knowing is not good enough. Actually, doing is. If you think that you know everything that we've been talking about, that's good. Now, the doing is not easy. And my invitation, and those are quotes from Bruce Lee going in the same way, is practice, practice, and practice. Yeah. And with this, I have a nice news to share briefly. We'll have the 4th edition of my coaching masterclass for leaders starting on September 22nd with leaders from all over the world. So if you feel a calling to take your coaching skills to the next level, you'll be super welcome to join the party, and also privileged to take advantage of a discount which you get by inserting the promo code STAMINA as you register for the masterclass. That saves $600. You can click on the video to know more about the masterclass and click on the little folder or picture on the right side to understand a bit more, and don't hesitate to reach out. With this, I want to say this series is for you. We really love when you send us feedback and recommendations, and also what you want us to talk about, right? And what insights you wish to gain, right? We here to serve you. It's important that you let us know what we can do for you in this crisis. Yeah. Just want to wrap up with our next two webinars. So today we've looked at coaching people one-on-one, unleashing their best thinking. Next, we go up one notch in challenge level, actually, and we look at how you can catalyze the collective intelligence of your whole team, in fact, right? That'll happen in 2 weeks from now, Thursday, 27th of August, at the same time, yeah? And then we'll take the important topic of energizing your people in crisis time, right? So that after having unleashed their best thinking individually and collectively, you boost their energy and you really get a very high performing team. Yeah, that will be September the 3rd with a very special guest, a privilege to have on the show. And this is Mr. Nanong Khalid, who is VP People from that amazing company in Indonesia, Tokopedia, and also abroad. That will be very special. With this, I want to say we've got a few gifts for you, e-gifts, right, for managers. If you want to dive more into coaching tips to coach your people, click on that picture and you'll get a longer version of today's program. And also, if you want to understand how coaching boosts the success of the world's most admired company, and a few of them in the Silicon Valley, click on that other picture and you have an exciting presentation about this. One more thing for coaches this time, again, go deeper into the topic as a coach, right? By watching this program on Coach versus Chaos, and also glean 10 insights and 10 tips I've harvested over my first 10,000 hours in coaching business, right? With this, and the time has come to thank you wholeheartedly for taking your precious time for your development and joining us today from all around the world. It's such a privilege, and I do hope that our program today will help you coach at your very best and create a lot of value and motivation in your conversation with the people who are important to you, and not just at work. I know many of you are participating as teams, and so of course my invitation as usual is to take the rest of the hour all together discussing what are key things you will take away from today's conversation, and then what as a team you could implement to maximize the value of your learning today as a team. Thank you very much for your trust with our program, and I look forward to being with you again in 2 weeks from now. I wish you all the best. Stay safe and continue to unleash more of your greatness. See you soon. All the best again. Take care.